All right, Brian Norman here with Guitar Talk, and we're here at Productions by G Studios here in Dayton, Ohio. And today is a special day. I have an ultimate guest here today, Jason Cheek.
Hey, folks. From
Michigan. And we're going to talk about some of the stuff he's done, some influences, stuff he's recorded, stuff that he may be working on today, tomorrow, whatever's going on. So first of all, tell us about your CD. You got a CD on Amazon.
Yep.
How much is it? What's going on with that?
Basically $9.99, as low as possible as I can get it on there. And it's chock full of a bunch of good tunes that if you're wanting to drive down the road and cruising, crank it up, man.
What kind of music would you say this is? If you had to, I know it's hard to describe, certain things, but what would it to you? What kind of a?
It's kind of got like a Motley Crue-ish Nickelback feel to it, I think, because it's got the ball-out guitars, and it's basically throwing out a lot of aggression at the listener. And there's a lot of emotion in it.
Now, what you did all the guitars?
I did all the guitars and
wrote all the songs.
All the main vocals.
Oh, lead vocals also, and guitars. You wrote all these pieces.
Every
yourself. I wrote them all. Tell me about some of them. What do you got on there?
The main one, Hypnotized, is basically a song about a girl that is a knockout. And that turned out really good. It turned out perfectly the way I wanted it. That was actually one that we're working on getting a video for, which should be up and running pretty soon.
Cool.
And then I wrote a piece for my daughter, which is I think is just beautiful.
What's the name of this one?
My Second Chance. And
now is that an acoustic piece, or is it a?
Eventually, I want to turn it into an acoustic piece, but it's kind of got like a Skid Row-ish guitar, and then it goes into a crunch, which really delivers.
So it's a full rock song. It's not just an acoustic piece or anything like that.
The whole album is basically a rock album.
Now, how did this recording come about? And tell me about some of the players you used on there and what they did.
Well, basically, what happened was I came out of a band, and from that departure, I had talked to another friend of mine, a drummer, Don Ivanovich, and
you've known him for a while.
I've known him forever, and got to just talking and said, "Hey, you want to do something?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a bunch of songs I got ideas for, and let's get it together." And he said, "Sure." So we shopped around for a bass player, finally found one, and we probably rehearsed for like a year and a half.
Now, was this bass player somebody you guys knew previously?
I was working with a guy, and the story's kind of funny. Me and Don had been talking for a while, and I said, I just met a guy at work. Says he plays bass. So
you met this guy on your job?
Yeah.
At the RV place?
Yeah. I can't really describe the name of the place.
I understand.
Anyway, he said he was just getting into playing. I'm like, well, I don't know. I didn't want to get an entry-level bass player at first. And I'm like, well, you got to give everyone a shot sooner or later.
Well, especially when you got a recording project in mind, you don't want to. Yeah. You can't just stick somebody in there that's never recorded before, which is that's a whole different world than playing live, as you obviously and we both know. So yeah, you want somebody who knows what's going on. But go ahead.
Long story short, we brought him over to the rehearsal room. Everything clicked. I'm like, this is it. This is the people I'm going to use for the album. And we got into the studio. I had a Mesa Boogie cab and head on one side of the tracks, and then I had a what was that? A 6160 for the Pbs. Is that what those are called?
The heads?
Yeah. The
5150s?
No.
The Eddie head?
No, it was a 62.
No.
Anyway, it was one of the newer ones.
Okay.
And that was in the other side with a Marshall cabinet.
So you used 2 amps?
2 amps, 2 different guitars, basically 2 different rigs on both sides.
Tell me about some of that equipment you used.
Oh my God!
You used what guitars did you use, and how'd you mic them? And
my guitar for all the rhythm tracks was a Gibson Studio Les Paul, and for the lead track on one side was a Gretsch semi-hollow body, and it screams. You can hear some feedback where it shouldn't be on some of the songs if you listen real closely.
I love the semi-hollow bodies. Just not to change the subject real quick, but I mean, you've seen the pictures. I've got 2 or 3 of those in my rig, and I love them. They got there's overtones that are created with these guitars that are. A friend of mine, Chris Lester, he's got one. Everybody, I mean, the players that know things about tone will always have one. Those things are, you can hit one note and get a little sustain for a second, and then you start getting that rumble and that feedback,
and you can feel it right here.
Oh yeah,
I love
those
that.
guitars.
That's cool.
So that's cool. You use the Gretsch and the Les Paul.
Yeah, and
now was you tuned 440 or
everything was 440, and
it's interesting. I mean, a lot of times when people are, today are going for the heavier metal sound or the heavy rock sound, they immediately think they have to tune down.
And the whole album was done in a drop D for one. I did.
So you did drop D,
but other than that, it was all 440.
There's a lot of bands that, not change subject again, but that are heavy, that are still 440. I mean, you can still sound heavy, tuned at 440, and it's, AC/DC is a perfect example, and it's just, it's a misconception I think a lot of people miss on. You can sound heavy. It's just, I think it's attitude and lyrics and things like that. But go ahead.
Yes, I agree with that. But there's a lot of stuff that was going on in my life at the time when I wrote the songs, and it's all there in the lyrics.
So that's basically a life, kind of a description of your life at the time.
At the time, it was pretty dark, but at the same time, I wanted an album that you turn it on, you crank it up, and makes you want to pick up your guitar. That was the whole purpose of it. But after the fact I got done with it, I'm like, wow, I maybe shouldn't have done that because it is kind of dark.
That's what you felt at the time. It's just, and that's a lot of recordings that are made. The people that write them, it's what they felt at the time. It might have been something that happened to them 5 years before that, but it's still how they felt at the time, and it's true feelings. That's how it is.
I kept it really honest, and I think a lot of people will be able to relate to it.
Now you said there's Hypnotize, and what was the one you just talked about that you wrote for Kaylee?
My Second Chance is the name of her song.
What else is on there? What's another good one you think on there?
There's one song on there, it's called Tell Me, that is pretty neat. It's basically about a person that has had a goal his or her whole entire life. And like, I know I'm going to do this. I know. And then that person's got someone else telling them, hey, you can't do that.
And there's always a naysayer, somebody telling you can't do something.
But it finally it kicks them in the ass because it's not going to ever happen. And I'm like, wow, after I read my lyrics, I'm like, I really wrote that? I was kind of surprised, actually. I'm like, holy shit, that turned out pretty cool.
So that's cool. You've got the CD on Amazon. You've got it barcoded. It's official.
It is.
You get royalties, which is cool. Which hey, you're doing it. You did the hard work. And I know a lot of people that record and play music, and I don't know a lot of people that can say they have music on Amazon that's barcoded and ready to resell and ready. I want to make money. I'm hoping I'll have fans that'll listen to it, and that's cool that you've done it.
I'm very proud of it. Again, I couldn't have done it without Don or Scott.
Yeah.
And I still get people saying, hey, why don't you give me one of your CDs? I'm like, I can't. I have none. They're all on Amazon.
Got to buy them.
And
$10, come on. $10, really?
Everybody's got a sawbuck in their pocket, and that's why I wanted it low. Is that way, if you really wanted it, hey man,
everybody can afford it. Pretty much.
Yeah, I wanted it as $4. Actually, I wanted to sell it for $5, but Amazon wouldn't let me.
Hard to make money with one on $5. Now I noticed on there you can go to the player and there's samples. I guess on your Facebook, you've got a Facebook page where you can do all that and let people check out what a 30-second sample.
Yeah.
I've listened to the whole thing. I thought it was wonderful. There's some great songs on there and some good stuff. What let's talk about. Let's go back to the beginning, like when you first started. You know, back in the early days. What did you hear first that sparked that guitar, and you were like, wow, I need to.
Oh wow, that's a good question.
What do you think brought that out of you?
It had to have been Kiss, of course.
Well, that's.
Say I basically seen a commercial of Kiss on TV going on tour. I'm like, holy hell, who's that? What is that?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, Ace the Man inspired the hell out of me from there.
You got to wonder how many people, you know, he influenced that are playing right now.
Oh,
I mean, even the ones that didn't make it, I mean, that are still playing, you know.
Yeah, if you were a guitar player in our time, you cannot say I did not like Ace Frehley.
I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, the whole package, the visuals,
it was all there.
Yeah. So Ace Frehley got you going.
He got me going, and then I got into Styx. Was one of my major influences.
And that's kind of weird. I mean, you go from Ace Frehley to some good, you know, some pretty much hard rock, you know, good, you know, huge stage show into. All of a sudden, you're listening to Styx.
Yeah, and it was
so what happened there? What did you?
I have no idea. I again, you know, I heard it on the radio. I'm like, my God, that is the coolest thing I've ever heard.
It had to be Dennis DeYoung's vocal.
Oh, and Dennis DeYoung, he was actually one of my first people that I loved for vocals.
Yeah, just a great voice.
And the whole writing structures of their songs just threw me away. I'm like, holy crap! I gotta learn how to do this.
So what's a couple of your favorite Styx songs? I know I got
Crystal Ball, because the first one that comes to mind.
Miss America is one of my favorites.
Miss America. There's many.
There's a lot of them.
The whole Cornerstone album is just unbelievable. Aku Aku from Pieces of Eight.
And really, if you listen to Lady, I mean, you think it's a ballad. But then you get to the end of it, and they're really rocking that thing, and that's a great tune too. I love that tune.
Anything they've done, I've just been a huge fan. I've seen them several times. Tommy's super nice.
He's short like me.
Oh, he's another
rock star.
He's a little guy, but he's got a huge personality, man. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
And from there, believe it or not, I got into Molly Hatchet pretty heavy.
And that's interesting too. I know you've told me that before, and I was like, that's another strange transition. You go from Kiss to Styx, and then to Molly Hatchet, which is actually, you know, Southern rock.
But they brought me into more of a.
But they do have the guitars dueling, and
they brought me into actually loving the guitar even more because of the dueling, the harmonies that they'd done.
Right.
Was unreal. And let's see, where did I progress from there? I went from there to listening to.
Is this still before you were still in high school or whatever?
Oh God, yeah, this is all in high school. Billy Squire was a big influence, believe it or not.
Yeah, oh, he's a great songwriter.
And then I heard you turned me on to Triumph.
Yeah, that's.
And then from Rick Emmett, I just learned so much. It was redonkulous. I loved the classical guitar for one thing, and the fact that he can go from classical to jazz to rock to blues.
He runs the full gauntlet.
He is the guru of guitars.
And you know, I've told this story before. I met him at Bogart's, and this was later on in his career though. This was early '90s, and he's always been one of my favorites. I mean, I loved his playing. You know, and I knew he was playing there. I went and saw him. I was like, you know what? I want to talk to him, or at least meet him. You know, if I can get the chance. I mean, I didn't want to harass him or anything, but I wanted to, you know. So I brought my album cover of
Never
Surrender. Yeah, and
I remember that.
I waited out back. The show got done, and I left. Like, I remember this before the last song. I went out back because a friend of mine had told me where they come out.
Awesome.
And I waited there, and I was first in line. And by the time he came out, there's probably 80 people, you know, in line, and I waited, and I was first in line. He come out, and he took 5 minutes. I mean, he talked to me. I told him I liked his music. He signed my album and still have it. And just that really down to earth guy, just a nice guy you'd ever want to meet. Another midget. He's another short guy, another short rock guitar player. Yeah, I think these guys. I think the guitar players, they go to guitars because they're not big enough to be to be in sports or anything, so they said, I better be a musician.
I got to do something.
So go ahead, Rick. You got into Rick, and that's what got me into the more progressive.
That's when you got into Rush.
It's when I got into Rush,
right.
Triumph, and Yes, and that's when I started listening to all that stuff. I really got into a lot of progressive music, Al Di Meola, people like that, and I just, man, it was all that kind of music for me and Curtis for 4 years straight. We just soaked in like sponges, just so much, of that stuff. And I think that's where we get our, our good timing and our good ears, because we listen to that, so much that it's soaked in, and it's like, jeez, love that stuff. But go ahead. So you got the Triumph.
Well, I got into him, and I listened to that for years, and then what perked my ears up later on was Paul Gilbert. And I just loved his style from day one since I heard it. I'm like, wow, this is really getting me even deeper into actually playing and loving what I'm doing and learning the theory behind it.
Yeah, that guy's got the fastest pick hand. I think
it's unbelievable.
Now was he Racer X?
He was Racer X.
Okay, he was with
him and Bruce Boulay.
Okay, that's what. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
and his fingers are about this long. It looks like when he's playing. So it's like, jeez,
it's ridiculous.
So you got into Paul Gilbert, and what about Randy? You got into him?
I got into him, not as heavy as you did, but I loved his tone. His tone, of course, was fantastic.
The tone, I got to say it, his tone was just over the top. I don't know how he just plugged into any amp
and just screamed.
And it was his tone. It's just
was
like
him.
It's like they say, it's in the hands. It's how you hold your pick. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I'd give anything to see that audition.
Oh my God!
That he did for Ozzy Osbourne. I mean. Something there had to spark, Ozzy and whoever to make the decision, yeah, that's the guy. I don't see how you can go in there and they say he just warmed up.
I don't think so, Randy. We're going to have to use somebody else.
And you know who was on the short list of that? Besides Randy.
Who was
George Lynch was on that list. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
What it was, the metal was happening right there in L.A. at that time, which was 1979, late going into 80. So, obviously all the guys on the strip that were playing were, they weren't famous yet,
right?
But they were getting ready to be. So they tried these guys out, and they're like, man, these guys are great. You had George Lynch, you had Jakey Lee, and then you had Randy and a couple other people that I don't remember, but that was the short list, and Randy got the gig, which is just unbelievable.
Well, I remember right after he passed away, Brad Gillis took over.
Yeah.
And he had a very short time of learning the material.
Yeah. And Brad Gillis was no slouch either.
Oh, my God. That
especially
guy.
with the Night Ranger stuff. But Ozzy doesn't like to talk about that Speak of the Devil CD too much, but there's some great guitar work on there.
There's some great, very underrated guitar player.
Yeah, he was great. So you got into Randy, and then you got into Paul Gilbert.
Paul Gilbert, he really got me wanting to know my theory, and if you're playing like in the A major or A minor, that would be your C major key. I'm like, oh wow, that's why is that? I don't understand that. And then I figured out why. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. So how much theory do you know? I mean, do you know a lot of theory, or you just got a little bit?
I can get by.
That's me. I don't tell nobody how much I actually know, but I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of theory. I just go by what sounds good or what I think would fit.
After you play throughout the years that we've played.
Yeah.
You figure out the theory, and then you're like, okay, what really applies to when I'm playing live?
A lot of the confusing part is when you actually try to figure out why, like you said, with that C part applies to that. Then it opens up more questions, and you're like, I don't know. I just think theory. I mean, I don't know if it can mess with your mind or.
I think it gives you possibilities instead of messing with your mind.
I mean,
instead of being boxed in.
Exactly.
And you're playing the same licks, then if you play it somewhere else in the mode that you're in, or in the key that you're in, changing your mode, that creates a whole different feel, and it does give you more, oh, wow, that sounds kind of cool with that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of players, like we talked about before, that you'd be surprised that actually don't know music theory, or this is a major scale, or this is a pentatonic, or they don't even know. Lynch is one. Dave Navarro. There's a lot of players that don't really know what they are, but they've got a great ear though.
Mm-hmm.
And Lynch has got, he don't know a lot of theory, but he knows how to apply the flatted fifth a lot, which this is how he gets a lot of his bases, a lot of his solos out of.
Right.
So, and you listen to Lynch too a lot, didn't you?
Oh, Lynch was he wasn't as much of an influence, but his writing did influence some of the stuff I did.
He's a great rhythm player too. That's
Oh my
overlooked
gosh,
a lot too.
he's underrated, man. I don't care when and very very nice guy.
And you've met him.
I've met
I forgot about that.
Yeah, him and his
Where'd
daughter.
you meet him at?
I met him at a place over in Elkhart, Indiana called DSE back in the late 90s. And, well, it was right around 2000, actually. And
Is he still with the Lynch mob at that point?
No, I think he was doing his own solo thing. He was on guitar seminars.
Oh.
That's basically what he was doing there, is doing a guitar seminar.
Did you watch it?
Oh, yeah. I found that about a year or two ago online, the clinic that he did there, and I got it from somebody, and I'm like, that is just cool.
What was he playing through then?
Stuff that they had there at the music store.
He just plugged into an amp?
Just plugged into it. And
it sounded like him?
Oh, God, yeah. Actually, I think it was
Did he have
a
that
Hughes
guitar?
Kettner. It was a Hughes and Kettner. He brought his own guitars. I think he had...
The skull one with the...
no, he didn't
or
bring
the snakes
skull.
or the Greek?
He didn't bring that. He brought the Kamikaze and the Tiger one.
Oh, those are the ones he had in the early docking days.
That's the ones that he brought, and I'm like, oh, that is so cool. And he goes, I could get a lot of guitars from ESP, but I don't need them.
He's got what he needs.
I only need like 2 or 3, and I'm good to go. I'm like, that's cool, It's someone that doesn't abuse what's given to him.
He was, you know me, I got into him very heavily for probably a year. And I got, I tried to learn every one of them songs off Beast from the East and some of the other ones. But it's hard to get that tone he's got because I think he uses a Staniak or a Fernandez sustainer, which that's how he gets a lot of them notes to hold out like that for so long, which I'd like to have one of those, by the way.
Those are cool.
Steve Vai's got one. They're great. And so it was hard to get that tone he was doing. Mm-hmm. If you don't have the right, but it doesn't matter. He could still burn it either way, I
remember seeing something. They were recording Unchain the Night, and he was not getting the tone he liked. So what happened, I guess, he had a Tascam that he just loved, that he was recording with on tour for the demos. He brought that in, played through that, and that's the tone that you're actually hearing on the album. I'm like, what?
And I heard a similar story. He played through a small amp when they did Tooth and Nail. I don't remember what it was. It was a small combo amp, and that was what he used on those. The tone on that album is just unbelievable. I remember when I first heard it, without warning, the intro into Tooth and Nail, and I was like, what the? How's he getting this sound? It sounds like it's plasticky kind of sounding, but it's not, and it's got just this killer reverb, and it's just unbelievable. So yeah, you listened to Lynch, and who else did you?
I progressed from. I kind of stayed on the same lines. Got into Ronnie Latecro from TNT.
Another great
oh
tone.
My God! Any album you pick up. Well, the album that inspired me was Tell No Tales, and it's the one with 10,000 Lovers on it. If you guys don't know,
the lead on that is there's. If you haven't listened to it, I would recommend if you're a player. I would listen to that lead. It's just there's parts in it that he's weaving in and out like little harmonies real quick that are in and out, and then the last lick he does on the lead is just incredible. It's a great
blows
tone.
You away.
It's a great tone.
But what I love so much about his style, or that I do love of his style, is he's not one of those players that's just scalar, or if that's the right word.
Yeah, he breaks it up a little bit.
He'll do like a small line, and then come way up here.
Right.
Do another line down here, do a small melody, and just burn the shit out of it right at the end of it.
Yep.
That's what turned me on to him so much, and it's just fantastic to watch.
Yep. So what about gear? What are you using? What are you using your live setup? You're setting up. You're walking into the club. What's Jason Cheek use? What amps are you using?
First thing you see is my Mesa Boogie head, my dual rec.
Dual rec. That's 100 watt.
It's definitely 100 watts.
And now does that one switch like does that have the mode to move it down to 50?
No, it doesn't. It's just a standard dual rec. It's one of the early ones, actually. From what I've heard, it's the one that most people want. I just recently found out about that. And it's sitting on top of a 212 cab that's early 80s. It's got a...
What kind of cab is this? It's a
Mesa Boogie cab.
Oh, it's a Mesa cab also.
Yeah, it's the one. It's the early 80s style. It's got the black metal grille in front. It's got an EV on the bottom, and then it's got no, it's a Black Shadow speaker on the bottom, and it's a Celestion GH12, I think, on the top.
So they've got different speakers in this cabinet to...
Yeah, someone modified it and knew what the heck they were doing, because when I'm playing live, to me it sounds so ballsy.
Good projection and...
Great, it's a good punch.
Now, what kind of pedals you use? Use any pedals?
I don't use. I try to keep it sparse because sometimes when you're using pedals, you get that noise.
Absolutely.
And I hate that more than anything. I had a noise suppressor on there at one time.
And sometimes even those don't work if you
chucked it. Got rid of that.
And a lot of guys I've seen, they make the mistake of they'll have 3 or 4 pedals.
Mm-hmm.
They plug in. You got your 4 pedals. They'll plug into the right here, which is usually your distortion or an EQ or something.
Right.
Then and a delay, and then they'll stick their noise gate at the end, thinking, "Oh, okay, I got this nailed. I'm blocking the noise." But what you're doing there, a lot of guys, if you do that, they don't actually know. If you put the gate on the end of it,
you got to put it at the beginning of the signal chain.
Right. They'll put it at the end, thinking they got it whooped. And the problem you create there is if you're using a delay, if you got 500 millisecond or 800, whatever. You're blocking your repeats, and a lot of people don't know that. You gotta.
They don't get. Why am I getting that?
Right. Where's my delay? Yeah, you got to put the guys. Remember that if you're playing or whatever, you need to put your gate first if you can, just to try to
and set that threshold in the right spot.
Yeah. Now mine, when I was using mine a lot, I had it on 3/4, because after you get it past 3/4, you start losing a lot of your crunch or a lot of your low end. Or your mid ranges, so you don't want to do that. So you got a gate and a wah-wah pedal.
Well, I like to keep my signal really clear. I plug in straight into a tuner, and 9 times out of 10, I have nothing else on stage with me. It's just my tuner.
So you're not hiding behind a bunch of
I
effects.
don't like it.
I don't either.
If I'm going to have a delay or something, I much prefer the house to take care of that for me, because they know the songs that we play. And if you're going to have a sound guy that's worth his grain of salt, he's going to know where to put stuff for you.
Or if you don't have a sound guy, a lot of times like we do, we just kind of go off the fly and try to do what we can. And sound guys are expensive now, So
I didn't realize
like anything else. They're nice to have.
Very nice to have.
It's nice to have somebody to be able to boost your leads and all that. But man, it just cost you money these days.
That was another reason why I bought that dual rec. It's got a great pedal on it. It's called lead boost.
That helps, don't it?
If you're playing with a second guitar player, yes, it does.
And that's the problem I've always had. I've never had a rig that actually has a boost. So I've always tried to stick a little pedal in there that'll boost my signal a little bit. Like I've stuck an EQ in there. I've stuck a couple other pedals that'll boost it up, maybe 10 dB or something. But that's about it, and it's not enough. You need a little bit more. I had a wah-wah pedal that would boost 10 dB, but it's not enough. You need somebody on that board to really slide that up.
Right.
So I guess we're going to take a couple-minute break, and we'll come back and talk some more about, we'll find something to talk about. And we're going to play a piece that you wrote, and we'll talk about that when we come back.
Sounds good.
So let's play
Stay
a little Hypnotized by Jason Cheek.
Someone to call mine. My heroes imitating shame. It's hard to find the patience when all you feel is pain. Give me a hero. Give me a new hope. Wherever our heroes gone, the years pass by, now we must go.
All right, we're back in the studios here at Productions by G on this episode, very special episode of Guitar Talk with Jason Cheek here, and we're going to talk a little bit more about some things. And I guess before we get started here, we got a little something here from the Productions by G studio for Jason here as a gift.
Oh, no way.
Since you're a Kiss fan.
All right. Look at that.
So, a little something from the studio for coming on the show.
I appreciate that.
And
that's cool.
Yeah. So where did we leave off? We were talking about your rig
gear.
and what you're using on talk about a little bit about your band for a couple of minutes. Who are you playing with, and what do you guys play? And
the band's name is called Sucker Punch. We're up in Michigan. It's basically Niles. It's right on top of South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
And again, suckerpunch.net.
You guys have a Facebook page, obviously.
We got a Facebook page. Right. It's Sucker Punch at Michiana, I believe. And the guys are just wonderful. We got
this is a four-piece
band. Okay. One guitar, bass, drums, and lead vocalist. Our lead vocalist is Moby Kettering. He's a veteran in the area. He's a very good front man. Then we got Steve Salee. He's a great bass player from the area. I've been in several bands, one being Soul Shaker. Soul Shaker was a great band in that area for many, many years. And a couple of the guys, they just kind of split up, and then we turned into Sucker Punch, basically.
Now, what does your guys'...
well, I can't forget Matt Loftus, one of the best drummers in the area.
That's your drummer?
Yeah, oh, he's fantastic.
Now, what does your guys' music, what do you guys cover? What do you guys...
we got a very sparse or very big collection of songs that we do. We do everything from like Garth Brooks to Stained to a little bit
That's
of Billy
running the
Idol.
gauntlet a little bit.
Yeah, we try to please everybody. We don't.
You have to.
You got to.
Yeah.
You can't just do thrash metal or speed metal in
You run them out
our area.
in one, even any style. I mean, if you go and play just, unless you've got a built-in crowd or you've got a, you're touring or whatever, you have to go in and please the palate of the people. So I know what you're saying there.
Well, not only just the people that come there, you've got to please the people in the bar, like the owners. If you're at a bar that wants metal, you got to play metal.
And you got to sell drinks for them.
Yeah, you got to sell the drinks. And
that's what I always hate about being in a band. You got to, it's a business like anything else. You got to, the bar wants to sell drinks. And
you got to get them dancing. That's the key.
Yeah, and that's what we've done with what we're doing. We try to
you
get
guys
people.
put on a great show, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You
Oh my God.
that?
Oh, we were at Froggy's last night, and Inspector 12 just nailed it.
It was a good show, and you got to keep people happy. And if one philosophy, if you look at it, if you play material that you think will get the girls happy and dancing, the guys will follow them. And that's just basically how it is. If you can get the women up there to
shaking
have
the booty.
fun, the guys follow. And the guys don't give a shit what kind of music you're playing, but if the girls are up there dancing, and this guy's been watching this girl for an hour or whatever, he's going to come up there and dance just to be a buyer. So, and that looks good for the owners. It looks good for the rest of the people. Right. 2 people get on the dance floor. It's like a plague. All of a sudden you've got 10 people. All of a sudden you got 20.
The infection.
Yeah. So that's how it works. You want to get as many people up there as you can. Yeah. So and you guys do. What else do you cover? I mean,
what else? We've got a bunch of stuff that's kind of secret right now that we can't let out.
Now, is this you guys do any originals in this band, or you just do the covers?
This is
band?
all cover band. Okay. We just had our 1-year anniversary about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And we've got a sponsor, the Four Horsemen Pizza up in Niles.
You got a sponsor?
Right behind Cheers. Yeah, right behind Cheers.
Hey.
We played at Cheers Club right on 31 quite a bit, and we were the first band with the owners that sold out all the food, and we were the highest grossing band that brought a lot of drinkers in.
Well, that's
so they
the name of the game,
to
like
sponsor
I said. Is selling the drinks for the owners. That's the name of the game. And if you do that, they're going to call you back.
Yep.
If you do it once, they're going to say, "Hey, you guys want to play again?" That's how it works. So how often do you guys play out normally in a month?
Normally we play out 2 or 3 times a month.
Well, that's quite a bit.
Yeah, we
I mean,
like
compared to
play.
mine schedule, it's
Yeah, well, your schedule used to be like that.
yeah, that was back in the
Yeah,
days when
that
we
was-
did you did 3 and 4 nighters and sometimes 5 nighters,
I remember you doing those.
and they would book bands for, you would do sometimes you would do Friday, Saturday, and then there's other clubs that we played at in Fairfield and all that would Mabel Murphy's and some of these other places that would book Wednesday to Sunday,
Right.
which was like. That's
Exhausting.
rough, and it's hard to get those people out there, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every night spending money.
Right.
It's tough.
It's tough. It's
Back then it was tough. Now it'd be,
I can't even imagine.
and there's not a lot of places right now that book bands 2 nights. I mean, there's a couple around here in the area that do that, but it's just not. It's not profitable a lot of times for them anymore. And
Well, you want to bring the diversity in, and I totally understand that. And our area is the same way. It doesn't matter where you're at. I don't
Yeah, it
think
doesn't matter.
you're going to have someone that's going to want a different band on Friday and Saturday.
And they, they look at it as, the bands. They want you to bring the people in.
Well, yeah,
You know what I mean?
everybody's
It's
got
like-
their own people. We got a very good fan base, and we love every one of them.
That's important. You get a following,
Yeah,
like
we've-
that. That's you work at it for sometimes it take you a few years, and then that's how you get you start playing these places, and they know you got a following, and that's how you really get going. It takes a little time.
takes a little time, but man, it's so well worth it in the long run, man.
Yeah. I was going to ask you something else about your. You said you guys don't do originals.
No, we don't.
Um,
Well, we
Do
are
you guys
working
play
on.
in a-
We are working on some.
do you guys play anything off of the CD of yours? We don't do originals, but do you do
No,
anything?
actually, I was.
Have you brought that up to them?
I'm getting ready to push for a couple of them. I'll probably bring in 2. That way, it'll bring me singing a couple more. Give our lead vocalist a break. He can go get a shot or whatever he feels like getting. And our drummer is learning a couple new ones, which will be kind of nice. 'Cause it's cool to have the diversity than more than one singer. And I think that's really cool. It breaks up
Yeah.
the monotony.
Yeah, perfect example of that would be the Eagles and a couple other bands where they, you got these lucky bastards that have 3 guys in a band singing. They can all be lead singers. It's like, good Lord.
That's cool.
Let's do this piece. This is
Okay.
Tell me about this piece. I know about it. Well, tell the people out there about this piece. When you wrote it, what influenced you, and what it's about, or
There wasn't much. I wrote the piece back in eons ago. I can't really tell the year because if I do that, I reveal my age.
Well, we're only 24, right?
Yeah,
So-
we're 24, so I wrote it
Well,
when
we
I
get
was
it.
like 4. And it was one afternoon. I was just sitting in my room. I picked up my 12-string, my Yamaha 12-string, and I went into a really dark corner and came up with this.
Describe it though. What influenced the chording
The
on
chording?
this thing? What chords do you think we're using here? What type of chords?
It's based off a A minor 9th chord, I believe, and it just moves. The bass just moves around. There's a part on it that just stays in one spot, and
So it's got a. I mean, obviously I know it, but from playing it, it moves around. It's the root note changes, but it's got the open strings
yeah,
ringing
it's
with
got
it.
a real
It's-
light, airy feel to it, but in a weird way, it's keeps you mesmerized just a little.
And this is called what?
It's called Catacomb.
And that's what you call it, is Catacomb. And we're going to play that right here. That's an exclusive here on Guitar Talk. Just a great piece. Again, this is an original piece Jason wrote. And when he says eons ago, he's probably not kidding. So let's play through it and see what we can do with this thing and see how it goes. That's a great piece, and I know.
Thank you.
And I know that's the short version
Very
because
short.
there is an extended version that's got a lot of, some more complicated chords in it that I didn't have time to actually, watch and learn from you. And then I just thought, well, we'll do an abbreviated version of it that gets the point across, and that's the main themes of the piece.
That's the main theme of it. There's an intro to it, and then that.
Now, what's the other? I know there was another part you did on it that I kind of remember that did like the where it walked down like a.
Right. That was basically the bridge part to it.
Something like that, which there's some weird chords there going on. What is?
I have no idea what they are.
Get these pinched together? You know what I mean? What influenced you to use chords like that? What?
Probably Randy, because that was right around the time when I was really heavy into them.
Diary of a Madman,
D,
of course. And those pieces like that were.
But
play a little bit of that middle part. That's the part I like to hear, but I don't know, so I'll let you do it.
It basically just goes down the neck.
And that's kind of another portion of the piece.
Yeah, it's just a part of it.
How many other parts of that are there to that song? That if you
put them all together, there was 3 parts. And I
sections.
I don't remember the last one.
Other than what we just played.
No, all together.
All together.
Yes.
Okay. I kind of like that too with that the walking down. Did you do it and you just take that all the way down?
All the way down. That's it.
I like the way that works with the open, and it works with the open note.
Right.
All the way down.
The last one is your E.
Yeah, that's a great. Yeah, I like that. That's
simplicity at its best.
Yes. What other pieces? Do you have any other pieces that you could?
Oh gosh.
That are original pieces that you could. I mean,
I could do a couple more.
What's this one? What are you gonna pull off? I don't want to put you on the spot.
It's called Gates of the Courtyard.
Gates of the Courtyard. That's standard tuning?
It's all standard tuning.
Do you need to get up into high areas where you need this guitar, or do you want to play that one?
No,
okay. By the way, that guitar he's playing right there is just a
badass.
great guitar. It's a 30th anniversary Sigma, made in 1980. And it's just great. It's great projection. It sounds incredible. Jason really likes it, and I think it sounds great
This
also.
thing's awesome.
Play that piece for me.
Okay, I'm going to attempt this.
Gates of the Courtyard.
I have not warmed up, so this is...
This is another piece of yours?
Yes.
Original piece. Okay.
Again, eons ago is when I wrote this.
And standard tuning, nothing
Basically
special.
the same time.
Okay. Okay. That's a great piece, but that's still a great piece.
Forgot it.
What? There's a lot of movement in that one. What?
Yeah.
So what was an influence on that? How did you come up with that piece?
I have no idea. I was just messing around with the guitar one day, and the melody come to my head, and I just like, how do I play it?
I like the movement with the the 3 fingers and the main melody of it. Yeah.
That's just basically a pedal. They call it a pedal point.
Like you would do on 1 string.
Yeah.
Same concept.
But I'm using 3 strings.
But you're using all 3 strings.
I'm doing a root was the A, and then you're toggling off the A, B, C sharp, and D.
And that's a classical movement.
Yeah, it's very classically based, and you're toggling off the high.
A centuries-old idea in violin and classical music.
And the only other difference in the other positions, it goes from A to D to E.
I like how you arranged it with where you were able to play it with and keep the root note open, so you didn't. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Subs Gates of the Courtyard. That's another. And how many pieces? I mean, if you had to guess, I mean, I could guess, but you're the one that really knows. How many pieces do you have like that are
all the short little ditties?
Ditties like that, because I know you've got quite a few.
Yeah, there's probably a good 30. Easy.
30 pieces like that.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about recording all these on a?
Actually, it's going to be in the works either this year or next year. That I'm going to have it done.
I think that'd be a great idea. That's some wonderful pieces, and I've heard, I've heard a few of them, and I'm sure there's some I haven't heard, but I think that sound incredible on a CD of just some really great playing and some the stuff that I can tell takes a lot of work.
Right. I've got. Hey, Kaylee, how you doing? I was just told you were watching.
Jason's daughter's on there watching and saying hey to Jason.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she loves to hear her dad play. She likes to play my guitars.
And she does have a guitar, right?
She's going to get one, and she loves the drums, believe it or not. She will beat the heck out of them.
Hey, whatever. Music is nothing but positive for children.
Oh,
music teaches them. It's mathematical. It teaches you structure. It teaches you practice. Yeah, it's calming.
Discipline.
Discipline. It's great for children. Now as you know me, both of mine love music.
Mm-hmm.
I got one that's he's 14. He's already writing his own music and recording.
I've heard some, and it sounds really good too. I'm really proud of him.
He's doing great and
learning from one of the masters right here.
Oh yeah. And my youngest one, he loves classical guitar. I put a classical guitar in his hand. He's already knows by me teaching him how to place his hand on it.
Oh, that's so cool.
He'll lay his hand on it and he'll start. He don't know really what he's doing yet, but he'll start. Trying to do that. And sometimes he'll grab it and try to do it left-handed because he don't know for sure yet.
Right.
But he's already. I've instilled the concept of, what the positioning is. So it'd be great to have him doing.
Hi, Kaylee. I love you. I miss you, and I'll be home tomorrow, honey. Good night. I love you.
But stay tuned. We might be on here for a little bit longer. You never know. Yeah. But yeah, music's great for children, and it's I'm glad Jake's into it. I mean, it keeps him busy at home. Doing what he likes, and he likes to mess with his hair and try to be Mickey Six. He's got a good look going. He's trying, and
he's got red and black hair now. It's cool as hell.
All you can do is try.
I love it.
And then everybody that's a rock star, everybody that's a musician, has been at that point that Jake's in right now. I was at that position at one time. You were there. Oh yeah. It's a dream you have, and it's what you put into it, and that's the bottom line. And and it's like my sister-in-law, Penny's sister. I saw a video on Facebook with. One of her children playing violin.
Oh my gosh.
And he was playing for the school for a recital or something like that. And it was great. I mean, he played a piece, and I'm not sure what it was. I think it was a classical piece for sure. I could tell by the movements. And I even commented on it. He had great bow control. And I don't know if you've ever played a violin.
Just once.
I have. And I took lessons for violin probably 15 years ago. I used to leave work, and I'd go straight to Totem School in Sharonville and take violin lessons. And I did that for 6 months. And the bow control alone is very difficult to get. It looks like it's easy.
Well, you got to be at a weird angle.
It's the angle. It's it's how you're the guy. The first thing you wanted me to practice, and I remember this exclusively because it was so hard to do. You take the bow down and go back. And what that does, what he wanted me to practice was
sustaining the notes.
Is sustaining the sound and keeping it going, even though when you break, it's easy to keep it going when you're in one direction, but when you got to bring it back, that little spot is where you want to keep it going and not notice it anymore.
That's your speed bump.
That's your speed bump.
Right.
And I worked on that for the whole time, and I had just got it when I stopped taking the lessons because things happened. I do anymore. But I was able to pick up the violin and play some scales and sound crazy and stuff, and sound terrible at some points. But the violin is a wonderful instrument.
Very beautiful.
Oh God, the 21, the caprices that Iztak Perlman does on that CD is out of this world. If any of you haven't heard that, I would recommend it highly.
Gotta get it.
It's outrageous. It's beautiful. It's like he gets 5 octaves out of it. It's like, oh my God, and every note is just so clean. There's no bad notes.
The reverb on that thing that they got on that is just. The first time I heard it, I was blown away.
And the first time I heard it was when you made me a copy of it.
Yep,
that's right. I was like, oh my God, what is that? And being a guitar player, still, I knew that was just incredible. And a lot of that stuff off of, that Paganini did, they say he was a devil worshiper and all this, but a lot of people don't know.
He was practiced.
Yeah, you know what? He was also a very accomplished classical guitar player.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, he did a bunch of the lute
pieces. Yeah. He was a very accomplished player at that too. So that's just incredible to me that somebody could do both of those instruments that well.
Well, that correlates to right-hand technique on guitar too.
Exactly.
With the bow.
Yep.
If you don't play it you can play it any way you want, but
yeah,
there is a certain way to get a good, solid tone out of your guitar.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of practice just, with classical guitar. You got the claw position of your hands here, obviously with these and this. And this is a no-no for classical.
Right.
But for fingerstyle and, if that's what you do, it's perfect. But
and they grow their nails out a little bit.
Yeah,
so
I had mine grown out a little bit, and then I watched season 3 of Walking Dead and got nervous, and I was biting my nails. You believe that? And I was like, where'd my nails go? So I chewed on them.
I had them at one time.
That's what you do. You want to keep that going. And what I always couldn't understand about classical players is, they want you to do this.
The tremolo.
Yeah, with your fingers, this moving. You don't move. You don't do this and go crazy. It's
right.
You pick the note, and you let it come back. That's all the movement that
you're allowed.
And that's the discipline of the classical guitar. And in classical guitar, you want to hear some great classical guitar. I mean, obviously, you listen to Christopher Parkening.
Number one.
Manuel Barreto is another great one.
Fisk.
Fisk is another great one.
Fisk. Oh, man, that guy is unreal.
But, the classical guitar is just, it's fascinating. It's Doyle's a great player.
Got to mention Doyle if you're going to be playing.
Doyle Dykes, he's from Nashville. I've met him a few times. Mm-hmm. And he's a fingerstyle player, but he is unbelievable. And
this guy can make one guitar sound like 3.
Yeah, him and Tommy Emmanuel are similar. They both play the same kind of styles, and they're just incredible. And I've broke down one of Doyle's pieces on my show here a while back.
I remember seeing that one.
Played that one. That's a great piece. But yeah, the classical guitar is just wonderful. It never gets old.
And you're always learning.
Yeah, and that's what I tried to get Jake into learning first was classical guitar, and he wasn't having it. He wanted to play bass, he wanted to play the drums, but he doesn't want to do the guitar. And I was like,
he's really good on the drums though.
Yeah, I was like, man, I want to get him on the guitar because once he picks up the guitar and gets interested, I can get him away from so many things and create so many shortcuts for him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When you're teaching somebody, you can get them away from the bad moves you made yourself and what they don't need to do, what they do need to do.
It goes right back to discipline.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to talk about? About yourself, about what's going on with your life?
We've got a lot of positive things coming our way, which is really great. It's nice for a change. Had a lot of bad things going on for a while. That's all passed behind.
Well, great. That's good.
We're getting ready to move into a new home, which is fantastic.
Nothing like having your own place.
Well, yeah, it's very grateful for the people in my life, and I feel blessed. And got a lot of new music that I've been working on. Plan on doing
stuff you're writing.
I'm writing
recently
currently.
That you're working on?
Currently. Well, a lot of it's done.
Tell me about a couple pieces. What are you working on?
One project is a blues project that I'm working on. It's basically going to be all blues with a little bit of me wrapped into it.
I'm surprised. I mean, you've never struck me as a blues player.
I'm really not.
But,
I'm going out of my comfort zone on this because I.
But that's a good learning experience.
Yeah,
Anytime
exactly.
you go out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
you're going to learn something.
Yeah, and that's basically why I did it.
And on guitar, and this is the way I look at it, if you stay on one style the whole
You
time
will
you're playing
never grow.
guitar, you're never going to expand. You're never going to
Never.
learn. You have to spread your wings, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in guitar, I recommend 3 things at least. You got to listen to classical for the discipline.
Discipline.
You got to listen to, and I think, I mean, believe it or not, I think you should listen to some older country music if you want to get into some really catchy, scales. And,
It gives the good country, the old country gives you good structure.
yeah, and the thing is, a lot of the country music, they have great, what I call, and what I think a lot of people call tag licks, like
Right.
they use to accent, behind vocals, and you get a vocal and then you get a real quick tag lick on guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And those are great for just learning to, and you can always, get a good country lick, you can always get somebody's attention.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing on stage and, you've got a rock band up there and all of a sudden you got this guy burning
Doing
ripping
something.
That's
A
exactly.
little country look right
That's
there.
right. And then it's just good to listen to. And rock, of course. Depending on what you want to go for or what you're listening to. I mean, there's down-tuned rock. There's, depends on what you like. But, listen to classical, listen to some country, listen to some rock.
And you got to have the blues.
You got to have the blues.
It gives you a good foundation right there.
Yeah, and I admit it wholeheartedly. I'm not
Kiss.
exactly, and I'm not a huge blues fan, but you got to have, Now there was a period where I was really heavy into Stevie Ray Vaughan when Texas Flood first came out.
Oh,
I was like,
incredible
oh my Lord, you couldn't. I mean, if you're a guitar player, you couldn't ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
When you heard it, you were like, holy, what the hell? And he was great. I just don't listen to a lot of blues. Now, I can listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan for a little bit. Then I got to move to something else. I just don't listen to it a lot. And the same with, anything else. I can listen to something for a little while,
Right.
and then I got to move to something else. I can't just listen to one thing.
Well, you probably
all the
like
time,
Gary Moore.
Gary Moore was great. We used to do
Shapes of Things.
We used to do that.
We used to play that.
Shape
That
of
was
Things
awesome.
live that he redid,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a great piece.
Oh.
It has a great guitar work in
You
it.
need to listen to more of Gary.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was with Thin
Very
Lizzy.
underrated.
That's who he played with when he was first
Really?
started
I
with
didn't
Thin
know
Lizzy. I'm pretty sure, you'd have to check the facts on that, but I'm pretty positive on that. And I don't know, just playing guitar it's there's so many things that are involved that you gotta if you really want to do it, learn some discipline. Try and personally, I don't like I've told you many times, I don't know a lot of theory. You know a little bit more about it than I do.
Theory's not always needed, but it's good to know it.
It's like I said, I mean, sometimes you hear people say, well, theory can ruin you, or it'll ruin you not to learn theory.
Right.
But, and then there's always these players that will offset
Diehards.
your what you think. Like, somebody will say, well, it'll ruin your playing. But then you get Randy Rhoads, which it didn't ruin him.
No.
But then you get guys that say, if you don't know theory, you're going to suck. And then you got George Lynch.
You would have to disagree to that.
So you could it works either way.
Right,
It just depends on how hard you want to work at it and how good of an ear you got. It all begins with your ear.
But George Lynch has gone back and he took lessons.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
And like I said, though, it all starts with your ear. If you can't hear a good tone and you can't hear what's going on, that's why you need to train your brain into learning as much as you can about the guitar. Because you can't hear correctly, then you don't know what's going on. So
If you've never heard good tone, you won't know good tone.
exactly. And as guitar players, me and you and every other guitar player that's watching or that I've ever met, the one thing you're always trying to get is good tone. That's the main thing you
That's
want
the
to
main
get.
thing. That little amp. But speaking of tone, when these guys were playing out last night, he's got this little Marshall amp. It's only about this big.
That's what I use.
Like that.
Mic'd.
Right in front of him. And that thing was the loudest thing on stage. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, we had it in the monitors, and
But man, that thing sounded great.
yeah, and I've played so many shows anymore that I don't want to carry a lot of shit.
You're a lazy
around.
bastard, is what it is.
Yes, I don't want to carry all that shit around anymore. Gee, you don't want to carry all that shit around anymore. You want to carry as less as you can. So that's what I carry. But I do carry 3 or 4 guitars because they do different things. Like,
Right.
I got a semi-hollow body, I got a Strat, I got a Les Paul, I got an acoustic. But they do different things.
Right,
on
each
different
one does a
songs.
different tone.
And you want to try to strive for at least close to whatever song you're trying to replicate. And so how much time we got, G? A couple minutes. All right. We'll close this one out. We've done a lot of talking and
A lot of BSing.
a lot of BSing. And you want to say hi again if they're still watching? They might
Hey,
be still
Kelly, I
watching.
love you. Hey, honey, I miss you. I'll see you later. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll call.
All right, it's been another great episode of Guitar Talk here at the Productions by G Studios here in Dayton, Ohio. And this was just a great episode to have.
Nice hanging around my bud again.
Yeah,
Haven't
just
seen
to
him
have
forever.
just to have him here, it's wonderful just to be able to sit down and talk and just learn a little bit. And you always learn something else. You never know. So thank you for watching, and
Thank you for having me.
I
really
absolutely
appreciate it.
Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed it.
I do.
Appreciate you watching, and we'll be back on soon with some more interesting guitar talk items.
Where did you ever get those eyes? They stare into my soul and sterilize me to the point of no return. There's no way back. Keep on calling my name, I'll come to yours. Every back and every whim, I'm the one. Your scratchy itches on yours. I keep falling every time for you. There's nothing more I can do. One little look into your eyes, girl, you got me hypnotized.